Thanks for joining us for another edition of Broncos Country Connected. Over the last 2 weeks, we've been introducing you to the newest members of the Broncos coaching staff, but this week I'm excited to catch up with a familiar face around the UCL Training Center, Klint Kubiak. Coach, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, you grew up in the area, you went to Regis Jesuit before you went up the road to CSU. Obviously, your coaching career features a stint here in Denver from 2016 to 2018. So how does it feel to be back?
Yeah, it feels great. You know, that's where I grew up. You know, I love it here. A lot of great people, great organization, so very blessed to be working here.
Well, you spent the past 3 seasons with the Minnesota Vikings, your first 2 as their quarterbacks coach, and then as the offensive coordinator last season. Why did you feel like making this move here to Denver for this position as the passing game coordinator and quarterbacks coach was the best move at this point in your career?
Obviously familiar with the area, familiar with this organization, but I think the main thing was just the opportunity to work for Nathaniel Hackett and to work with George Payton, 2 guys I have a lot of respect for. So just to be a part of being on a staff with an offensive head coach with a great offensive mind, I felt like I can continue to grow in my career and help here with the quarterbacks.
Tell us about your initial impression of Nathaniel Hackett. I know you guys hadn't really crossed paths much before.
Yeah, his energy, genuine guy, coach's son, like myself. But just from watching his film, the past 3 years with the Packers and just seeing, how productive they were and how great of a job they did. Just, it's always great to be around, intelligent football minds, and when they're a great guy like Coach Hackett is too, it's just a bonus.
Well, obviously you've been in the role a little less than 2 weeks, but I'm sure you've spent no time wasted diving into the tape. So your initial impressions of this roster, what are maybe some of the most glaring issues that you see in the passing game, and what are your plans on rectifying those?
Yeah, it is early. I've only been here for a week, really, like you said, but just from being familiar with the Broncos, over the last 3 years, there's a lot of talent here, and definitely at the receiver position, the tight end position, running back position, having that young rookie play so well, and obviously Drew Lock's got a lot of talent, so I know he's been in and out of the lineup, but I think just from evaluating him from the draft, really liked the tools that he had to work with.
Well, let's expand on that a little bit. We have seen flashes of potential from him over the past few years. What have you seen on tape from him that really impresses you?
Yeah, again, it's early. I haven't got to watch everything like I'd like to, but just evaluated Drew very hard coming out of the draft, and it's really hard to find guys with, that type of arm strength paired with that athleticism. So he's very blessed in that regard, and just look forward to getting to know him more and working with him and us building a relationship.
What are some of your coaching philosophies, and how do you bring out the best in your signal callers?
Yeah, there's 3 things that I was taught by Greg Knapp, who was the quarterback's coach here not long ago, but decision making, timing, and accuracy are the 3 things you really focus on with those quarterbacks. And you always try to develop those things every day in the film room, but a lot of it's God-given, and these guys, they play a lot of football their entire career, and you try to identify throughout the draft and free agency who has those traits and just continue to develop them.
Well, we all know the AFC West is stacked with quarterback talent. So given your level of competitiveness, what excites you most about really helping this Broncos team get out of the AFC West basement in terms of the passing game?
Yeah, you're right. It's extremely competitive here, and if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. So this is a great place to be, and you can't be scared of the competition. I think we're really fortunate to be in this pressure cooker in the AFC West, but we have a lot of work to do, and we got to start from square one, not trying to get ahead of ourselves. So just want to get to know the guys, get our scheme inserted, and then just go develop a really mentally tough group of quarterbacks that can go face a lot of adversity.
Well, the 2021 season officially came to an end on Sunday with the Rams winning it all. What were some of your biggest takeaways from that game?
Yeah, I think the obvious thing is, when the game's on the line, you see the LA Rams going with their QB and going to their best player. So when the game's on the line, and all these games are one possession games, they're going to be close. So it's all about finding ways to to maximize the talents of your best players in crunch time. So this time of year for us, we're developing a system and developing a common language so that when we get into those tough moments, that there won't be a whole lot of thinking. Our guys and our best players can go react and make plays.
Well, as the Broncos work to get back to the NFL's biggest stage, what is your #1 goal for this team here in 2022?
You got to start small. You got to have a foundation. So right now we're just looking at the few weeks here in front of our face. So we're thinking about free agency, thinking about the draft, So let's go be great in that aspect right now, and then we'll go from there.
Well, Klint, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Well, still to come on Broncos Country Connected, the Denver 7 crew discusses what's next for the Denver Broncos now that the 2021 season is officially in the books. Don't go anywhere.
Broncos Country Connected is brought to you by Ford Trucks. Built better, built stronger, built Ford tough.
Welcome back to Broncos Country Connected. Super Bowl Sunday was a little bittersweet as it marked the end of the NFL season, but also the beginning of a new year for teams like the Denver Broncos, who hope to get back to the big stage sooner rather than later. For more on what's next for the Denver Broncos now that Super Bowl 56 is in the books, let's send it over to Lionel Bienvenu, Troy Rank, and Ryan Harris.
Thanks, Alexis, and welcome to our Denver 7 segment brought to you by 1-800-GOT-JUNK. Well, Ryan and Troy, the season has ended. The Rams won the Super Bowl. Von Miller got his second ring. Broncos posted congratulations to Von on social media. After it was obvious Von still has Denver on his mind too, Ryan, he said he dedicated the game to a lot of people, including Demaryius Thomas. And in the week leading up to the game, Ryan, he said, I'm still a Bronco. I'm a Bronco for life. What do you think the future holds now for Von Miller?
Well, incredibly classy by Von Miller to talk about being a Bronco for life, to talk about Demaryius Thomas. Where was the mention for Troy Rank, the last media member to talk to Von before he left to win a Super Bowl? But that's just who Von is. And what Von did for our Super Bowl 50 Broncos team will never go away. That's the more immortality you get when you win a Super Bowl in the NFL. But it's strange for Von, because he's a rare player now where do you go and sign a deal for $10, $12 million per year with the Jets? Or do you take a significant pay cut to be the guy that helps win a Super Bowl to a team on the way? He's got some tough decisions to make, but either way, I don't see him coming back to Denver until it's one of those one-day contracts to retire.
Von Miller's always going to be a Bronco for life, and the one thing I love about him getting a second ring and having 2 sacks, he is first ballot Hall of Famer, no questions asked at this point. But to come back to Denver, they're not close to winning a title. They have a chance if Aaron Rodgers shows up to be right in the mix, but I just don't know if the fit will be there. He's always going to be a Bronco. But yes, having a guy you just played for in Evero, that helps. That definitely helps, but it's a completely new staff, really. Other than that, I would love selfishly to see Von back. I'm just not thinking the dots are going to connect in this case.
And one more thing, too, with Von being at the Super Bowl. I got to talk to Justin Simmons when I was out there. He said Von texted him and said, hey, why don't you come by so we can connect while you're out here? I mean, that's what it means when Von says he's a Bronco for life. He's not going to give up those relationships that he built with Justin Simmons and other people in the organization. And that's something, again, that I believe is really, really cool to go along with your second Super Bowl ring.
Troy, we heard Rodgers talk after he won the MVP award last week. Nothing really to take from that except that he'll make his decision pretty soon. But what do we take from the reports on Super Bowl Sunday that the Packers are going all in to show that they want to keep Rodgers by possibly giving him a contract that would make him the highest paid player per year in the NFL?
Yeah, listen, the money doesn't matter. I mean, what's interesting to me is the Packers, they keep more secrets than Victoria. And all of a sudden they're public about wanting to keep Aaron Rodgers. They are just posturing and keeping themselves covered. When he leaves, they've set it up, both Lionel and Ryan, for Aaron Rodgers to going to have to ask out. No passive-aggressive behavior this offseason. If you want out, you're demanding a trade because we made it clear we want you back. So that's what I take from it, is they're just saying, hey, we're going to do everything. So if this ends with you leaving, that's on you, Aaron Rodgers.
And one of the things, too, that's a billionaire's play. They're saying, hey, we'll make you the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, but the highest paid quarterback in the NFL typically doesn't have money for great receivers, for a great defense, and Aaron Rodgers knows that. So to Troy's point, it's not just about money. At this point for Aaron Rodgers, he wants to go to a team and an organization that wants to win. I think that's Denver.
Well, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Because we've seen what Rodgers and Devontae Adams can do. We've seen Stafford and Cooper Kupp. We've seen Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Do you think Nathaniel Hackett can get the most and the best out of Courtland Sutton, a Jerry Jeudy, and a Tim Patrick?
Well, it starts with going to the film and playing the film of that final drive for the Rams and sitting Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton down and saying, this, what Cooper Kupp does here, this is what we need each of you to do. This is the ceiling. This is what you have to be for us to win a championship. A go-to guy after another receiver goes out, you have to be able to put a game on your shoulders. And I believe they both have that talent, Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. But they need a coach to show them what it looks like and to hold them accountable to that expectation.
All right, Troy, season's over. What's the timeline here for the Broncos? What is coming up next?
Well, what's going to happen next is all of these assistant coaches signings are going to become official over the next few days. We can expect a press conference, certainly with the coordinators next week, and then the combine where George Paton and Nathaniel Hackett will meet the media the 1st of March. And then before you know it, mid-March is free agency, and that's where obviously you want clarity on the Aaron Rodgers situation, a Russell Wilson, a Kirk Cousins, Jimmy Garoppolo, because you need to have that plan in place first. If that fails, then you move on to the draft, maybe a quarterback in the first round.
All right, guys, good stuff as always. Right now, that's it for us, though. Alexis, let's go back to you.
Well, still to come here on Broncos Country Connected, our first installment of Broncos Icons, highlighting some of your favorite players in Broncos history. You won't want to miss it.
Broncos Country Connected is presented by Carpet Mill Outlets. Bigger discounts, better selections.
Welcome back for this final segment of Broncos Country Connected. Super Bowl 56 has us feeling a bit nostalgic for the days of confetti falling and the Lombardi Trophy being hoisted by Pat Bowlen and the Denver Broncos. So for our first ever Broncos Icons profile, who better to spotlight than Denver's first Super Bowl MVP, Terrell Davis? NFL historian Andrew Mason helps us relive how a 6th-rounder turned into a 3-time Pro Bowler, a 2-time Super Bowl champion, and a Hall of Famer.
Terrell Davis's rookie year was something that nobody was expecting. Of course, a late-round draft pick who had dealt with injuries in college, and he was down on the depth chart, even though you had people in that building that knew they had something special in Terrell Davis. They couldn't just hand him the job. No one was going to hand it to him. He had to come out and take it. So there the Broncos are in Tokyo, and he is told by Richard Smith, the special teams coach, hey, get in there. And that hit, this took him to another level. You could see his confidence build after that hit. And then by week 1, he's your starting running back. He had a preternatural feel and vision. And in the zone blocking offense that Mike Shanahan, Gary Kubiak, and Alex Gibbs were running, it's crucial to be able to feel and see when those holes flash open and then explode through them. And of all the running backs that we have seen come through this scheme, both here and elsewhere, as we see these principles still used around the league today, nobody was better at accelerating the hole and then getting into full gallop and turning that flash into an explosive play than Terrell Davis was. The 1998 season was special because, first of all, the accomplishment of going over 2,000 yards puts him in very select company in terms of all-time single-season performances. You rush for 2,000 yards, and that's how, if you're a running back, you've got a chance to be MVP. And, of course, he was the MVP, deservedly so. That was a season where John Elway missed some time, and Bubby Brister had to come in, and Brister held down the fort well. But a big reason why he held down the fort as well as he did was because he could lean on Terrell Davis. And then as the season went on, you saw kind of an evolution. As Davis was piling up big game after big game, you saw teams start to stack the box a little bit more. But it's kind of a pick your poison thing. You stack the box to slow down Terrell Davis, the Broncos could beat you with everybody else. So Davis, having the kind of season that he had, even when he struggled, like there was a game against Kansas City in December of '98 where the Chiefs really kept the clamps on TD, but in doing so, set everybody else up to succeed because you could contain him, but then you were leaving one-on-one matchups galore for the bevy of targets like Rod Smith and Ed McCaffrey and Shannon Sharp. And so that was TD kind of being a team player. And then, of course, he caps that by continuing his streak of 100-yard playoff games as the Broncos go through that magical postseason. In back-to-back Super Bowl wins, Terrell Davis was the power gear in the offense, and he was ultimately the most consistent piston. He was the one that really made the engine fire. You think back not only when he was MVP in Super Bowl 32, dealing with the migraine, overcoming that, but in Super Bowl 33, What's John Elway's signature big play? It's play action, right? Terrell Davis was the MVP of Super Bowl 32. The fact that the Falcons keyed on Terrell Davis, who still went over 100 yards that day, but they had to put so much on TD, helped John Elway become the MVP of Super Bowl 33. It was very much a perfect symbiosis of star running back and star quarterback. Terrell Davis is a Broncos icon because he was the piece of the puzzle that brought everything together for the Broncos to be world champions. John Elway had had a lot of success. He had been to 3 Super Bowls. He'd had some good running backs, but he had never had a running back as productive and prolific as Terrell Davis. And the fact that that offense could lean on TD to be as much as John Elway was, created this supremely balanced attack that no one could consistently stop. It's one of those things where you look back and say, who was more responsible for Super Bowls 32 and 33 on the offensive side? Was it John Elway? Was it Terrell Davis? The truth is, they both are equal. They're both on the Mount Rushmore. That's why TD is a Broncos icon.
Great stuff, Mace. While it's been 20 years since Terrell Davis retired from the game, he still keeps up with his team and the moves that are being made in an effort to get the Broncos back to the playoffs. Nick Rothschild recently caught up with TD to get his take on the state of the current Broncos, including the hiring of head coach Nathaniel Hackett.
Nate Hackett, the newest head coach for your Denver Broncos. What do we think? Do we think that George Paton got this right?
Listen, man, I think so. I like his energy, right? I like his enthusiasm. I like the fact that he's got a plan. I like the fact that he seems to be on the less serious side. We've had a couple of serious coaches here, and that just, players want to go to work and have fun. And I think Nathaniel Hackett brings that level of fun, but also, I think he's serious about his business, and I think he'll be a fantastic coach. And we'll see. I mean, I'm willing to kind of wait and be patient. But I do think they got it right. I think they got it right, and we'll see how it all pans out in the long run. I always say that coaches are most famous when they get hired and when they get fired. And we just got a new coach in here, and I think he brings some different energy to this organization, which is a good thing.
When you were playing, did you like that less serious vibe from your coach, or did you prefer someone who was a little more strict, a little more focused?
I don't want to go to work with a coach every single day and everything is super serious. I played here when Mike Shanahan was here, and we had fun. Mike allowed us to do a lot of things, and at practice where we go out, we played music during our warm-ups, we goof around and play, have a really good time, but we were serious during practice. And so you have to know when to be serious, and you have to know when to let the guys just kind of be themselves and not feel like they're being robots in this box. And but that's the challenge of any head coach, going in there and trying to gauge the temperature of all the players and how he needs to lead and get the best out of all those different players. So for me, I mean, I enjoyed, I wouldn't say playing around, but I enjoyed having a good time at practice and in the games.
Yeah, you also played for Pat Bowlen, and we all know how much you loved Pat. Now the Broncos will be going up to auction here in the next couple months. What's it like seeing the Broncos change ownership hands, and what would you like to see in the next owner?
I would say that the new owner, to me, probably needs to have some of the same traits that Pat Bowlen had. He was in this community. He was, he was respected in this community. He loved this community. He wanted to win for Bronco Country. He had a great relationship with the players. He was an owner that was not on a perch, trying to be an owner. He was down in the weeds, communicating with you, interacting with you on a daily basis. And I think that's important for players to know the owner and be able to feel like, okay, that guy is, he's not trying to treat me as if I'm some product that, that just doesn't work. So I like to see the new owner come in here and just kind of be, hopefully young and hopefully just have a lot of ideas and willing to spend money to make this team a championship.
I don't think there was anyone that I enjoyed watching more this year for the Broncos than Javonte Williams. What was it like for you, who played running back in this league, watching a guy like Javonte bounce off tacklers?
Yeah, it's fun to watch. On any given play, this guy, he can break it and break 4 or 5 tackles and either pick up a first down or give you that critical kind of chunk yard that most offenses look for. he's that guy that I like to line up and try to get him the ball at least 20 times a game in the backfield. And that's what they need to do next year, just to like, hey, you got 20 carries in this game, and let's, we're gonna put the offense in your back and then do some play action passes off of that. I think if you can incorporate him in an offense to that fashion, this offense could be a scary one.
Is Javonte Williams the next Terrell Davis? Those are big shoes to fill, but we'd love to see him try. That's it for this week's Broncos Country Connected. From all of us here with the Denver Broncos and Denver 7, thanks for watching.